Hey everyone, this is your weekly episode of the Zephyr podcast where we talk about all things Zephyr, embedded, open source, many other cool topics. My name is Benjamin. I am your co-host.
Fabio, your other co-host.
So Fabio, do you know what Fido is?
Fido is it's name. It's the name of a dog. This is now a pet podcast. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's right. That's that. It's that. I think it's also a security standard, right? Like this is. So I'm no security expert, but this started to show up in the Zephyr community. Fido, or more specifically Fido 2, I guess, is the kind of standard that supports those things like passwordless authentication. You have like those dongles that provide you with a code that you those like authentication apps and stuff. Usually there's some biometrics in the mix. Reason I am bringing this up or giving it a shout out, we have the very same person who worked a few weeks back on the biometrics API. Name is Sirat, I think. They are interested in, I guess, building on top of what we now have with biometrics, like fingerprint sensors, APIs, that kind of stuff, and see whether it makes sense to have a Fido 2 subsystem or authentication subsystem in Zephyr. There is an RFC out there and like some ideas with regards to how the API could look like. So I think Sirat is interested in getting feedback. There is a discussion, I think, in the security channel on Discord, and possibly could be a good topic for Google Summer of Code. Now is the time where, as in previous years, we have we are virtually like we have entered the Google Summer of Code program. In that, if it goes both ways, like if maintainers and people from the community have ideas of things that like long outstanding items that could make for good topics, or if students want to volunteer like Sirat is doing to bring some ideas, now is the time to collect those ideas, discuss, find potential mentors for students, and the other way around. But yeah, I find this interesting because effectively things like those kind of gadgets I was mentioning, those are very much embedded devices, and Zephyr could be a good target. So yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting proposal. It's only headers right now. We'll link it in the description, but it's a comprehensive set of headers. It looks like the idea is to support multiple transport as well. There's like iterable section and everything. Very interesting.
Yeah, that might involve like Bluetooth and NFC, USB. There's a lot, and I think this will certainly, if this is going to go somewhere, this will be more than just a one-person effort. Some ideas have been thrown out there. People interested, please do chime in. That's promising, I would say.
Yeah, this just reminded me of the OpenSK project. I don't know if you remember that, but it was actually from it was a project from Google, actually. I don't think it was related to Summer of Code, but it was a Fido 2 authenticator that was flashed on NRF 52840 dongle. And it was a bit of a proof of concept. I think that what they were saying is that the chip does not have any security feature per se, because it's a general purpose chip. I think that chips used by security keys have some sort of hardening to prevent you from like decapping the chip and like reading the secret, stuff like that. But yeah, that this may be some follow up of the situation, because like that project, I think nothing happened. It was like 2 years ago, and I haven't heard anything from it. So it's nice if stuff ends up in Zephyr, because then it's usable for every chip and it has a higher chance to survive and be useful, become something.
Yeah, and I mean, in many ways, this is really an interesting topic, because like baking more security features in Zephyr itself, I mean, this requires skills and like involvement possibly from the security working group and like actual security experts. But this is, I think this is an interesting exercise for sure. So yeah, link will be in the notes, in the show notes. Speaking of links, just dropping a random one for people interested in working. I think, I don't remember off the top of my head, but companies based in Germany, don't remember seeing whether this is remote friendly, but Focusrite, a company that does audio equipment, which at least I am. You're hearing me through some Focusrite equipment. They have a subsidiary, Adam Audio, based in Berlin, Germany. And they are looking for Zephyr experts. Like the job offer explicitly calls for people experienced with Zephyr and STM32 and XP. Link is in the show notes. We will also put the link. This is one of those companies where it's really nice to see. So they have basically a public Zephyr fork where you can see some of the stuff they are working on. Always nice to see things like that. This will become mainstream eventually. We will stop talking about things like that, I guess, right, Fabio?
But for now, it's interesting to see offers specifically mentioning Zephyr from companies we know. I was looking at the offer. I recognized the innovation. They make synthesizers. So yeah, big company. That's good.
Yep. What else? Did you spot anything? Let's move maybe to some of the other pull request, in-flight issues and so on. What did you see this week?
We spoke about the rework of the context switching code for ARM Cortex-M. This was a performance improvement focused redesign. Andy Ross started it. I think it was even 1 year ago. And the results were good. It needed the last 10%, and it looks like Sudan at ARM picked it up and did a lot of work on top of Andy patches. So it's now a multi-person effort, which is really cool to see. And it seems like it may be close to completion, and it's probably going to go into the next release. So this is excellent. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, this is scary in a way. I mean, we obviously have lots of tests, as in like really lots of tests for this kind of really low-level stuff, but it's 34 commits
in core code.
In real core, but yeah, like looking at one of the early comments in the pull request, I'm not sure if those numbers have evolved, but at the time, a year ago, like you said, Fabio, Andy was mentioning it is quote unquote scary fast. I am seeing 60% improvement in z_swap versus the current tree. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit scary, but I think you can fall back to the old one, right? It's not replacing the previous code.
Okay, I didn't see that. But
yeah, there's like a config says use switch, and it's the default if use switch is supported, but the old one is still there, and apparently it's the default if you're in the secure firmware for some reason. So yeah, I mean, if you have concern, you can just sit on the old one and switch when it's a bit more mature. But yeah,
but yeah, you're right. It's looking good. Looks like it will be ready in time for the new release. We are, I guess, a month away from feature freeze, maybe slightly less. Now is a good time for people to test it, I guess, and provide feedback for sure. All right. I think last week we mentioned the new FTP client that was, as we were recording, there was a PR proposing to add a new FTP client. It got reviewed and approved pretty fast. Since it's now available, we will put the link in the minutes. There's a code sample with as always, with all things networking, with a fancy shell. So if you want to do FTP like in the old days, we do have that. And kind of related, hours after that FTP pull request was being submitted, I think someone else submitted a pull request for a TFTP server. So this one hasn't merged. It's still in review, but yeah.
Comprehensive suite of protocol level stuff in Zephyr. This is a bit of a challenge, right? Like if you look at the network code on Linux, they just don't touch any of. I guess it does have a TFTP client for network boot, but I think one of the challenges in Zephyr is that there's everything in there, right? From one side, there is the code to set up dynamic memory, which Linux doesn't have because it relies on the bootloader to do it. And on the opposite side, there's stuff that normally belongs to the application code that Linux wouldn't have because
yes,
the,
yeah, I
the
know what
user
you mean.
space.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so the TFTP stuff is I think really interesting. There's actually this week there's at least two. I wouldn't say ginormous because this maybe sound a bit negative, but it's big, like significant pull requests bringing some significant new cool features in this case. One is I hope people are familiar with many of the build targets that we have to get more than just your binary. Effectively, in Zephyr, you can build and like get a RAM usage report, a ROM usage report, get some a dump of like you want to get some information with regards to all the initialization levels of all your drivers. Like there's a bunch of targets that help with that. There is now a proposal for a target that sort of like groups them all in the form of a fancy, as in really fancy, HTML report. And so you want to get a summary of everything that went into your Hello World or whatever it is you're building. This is the thing, right? And so it provides and we will link to a nice interactive example. This has it all. Like it gives you a summary of how much RAM and ROM you're using, and what are all the different libraries contributing to the usage. You get a snapshot of all your kconfig options, like where each option is coming from, device tree, you name it. Like it eventually, maybe I guess things like the SBOM also could be captured in there. This is really cool.
I'm looking at a sample now, and it's one of those things where I see it, and my first reaction is, "Oh my god, I hate this! I know how to get this information with these 25 very long, very hard to remember shell commands." So you look at this thing, and it's like, yeah, I may actually use it. It kind of does look nice. There's all the graph.
And sort of by design, I think it feels very extensible. Like I just said, like right now, it doesn't seem to. I mean, it doesn't show the software bill of material like the SPDX SBOM, but it could. Like you can easily see how it can be extended with whatever reports or like additional pieces of information one may have, and like really promising.
Yeah, the kconfig stuff is nice. Like there's some information that I wouldn't know how to find it, like whether a symbol is hidden or not.
Yeah, I think this is based. I don't know, Fabio. Maybe you did miss it, or we already have like out of those many 20, like you said, commands. There's already a command to do a kconfig report. Luca from Arduino did that, I think, in the previous release. So that's where the information comes from. But here in this new HTML report, it's even like more nicely formatted, because otherwise it would be plain boring markdown. Here it's like fancy
it's a bit
colors.
embarrassing. I think I reviewed the pull request and then forgot it exists.
But yeah, no, that's I think basically everything in this new HTML visualization, this is all existing reports, but they would be really raw if you were to use the commands directly. This new script makes them all interactive.
Excellent.
And really cool stuff. This is from Qualcomm, by the way. One of those companies that are more and more active these days. Always cool to see stuff that's that gravitates around Zephyr proper and might be more in the realm of tooling. Speaking of which, we have the West serial monitor that the good folks at Espressif are pushing.
They used to have a Zephyr. They still have a Zephyr extension for their own serial monitor. I guess that this is gonna replace it. I couldn't find any mention in the.
I think that's the idea. This kind of and personally, I guess I'm used to. You have those tools potentially in VS Code, or like I think in the Nordic tools for VS Code, you have that as well. Like you want to have a window somewhere in your IDE that looks at your serial interface and that sort of never dies, even if you are to reboot the target or flash something. You can like keep an eye on this guy, and it won't, crash when the UART device or the TTY momentarily disappears and stuff like that. I think that's the idea with this West serial monitor. It just makes things easier to watch the serial output of your target.
Yeah, I'd imagine they're gonna do something to make it play well, because with ESP32, the advantage of having something smarter for the device is that you need the serial port for programming the device. Like if you use Minicom, you have to close it, which is annoying.
Exactly.
So I guess this is gonna make it easier. Very good. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to have, right? It's a small tool, one less thing to think about. I'll keep using Minicom, but good.
Yep. So may have missed some other big PRs like these ones, but like this is some of the cool stuff that we spotted this week. As an FYI, it looks like we are getting close to getting the Zephyr SDK 1.0 out there. The RC1 has just been tagged and doesn't look like it's like effectively released, as in the artifacts are available. But 1.0 version of the SDK is making good progress.
We probably need to remove the Mac Intel target from some of the tests, like the action.
Right. Yeah, remember. That's right. Follow up to last week's, I think, conversation.
Yeah, we have a bit of cleanup to do. Cool. Next one, on LinkedIn, Roy Jamil did an interesting pie chart of Zephyr code distribution. Not sure if it's like it's probably line of code. But yeah, anyway, he posted this graph, and the kernel code is like 0.5%. And the commentary is right on the money with the project. I think when people compare Zephyr with like FreeRTOS or maybe some lighter weight RTOS, which are basically just the kernel and the locking primitives, like the basic kernel services. And he's like, yeah, there's a bit more than that. And it's kind of amazing. I think what surprises me, so driver is 38% and subsys is 25%. The way we use those two directories is a bit weird, but
well, I think that's not the. I mean, those caught my eye. One thing that's really worth noting too is, I guess, coming third is the tests.
Yeah,
like 1 out of 5 line of code, I guess, like 20%. This is tests, and I don't know if we mentioned it before in the podcast, but like every week, the weekly. So there's tests that run on every pull requests, but the full set of tests which we only run every week, because there's a lot. We're talking about 500,000 tests, which, I mean, to be like fully open, I guess, I'm not sort of like claiming that they are all like necessary. For better or worse, we might sometimes have overlap because it's hard to figure out the right test strategy.
But we know the opposite is true, right? We know we run a lot of stuff multiple times, but it's a lot of tests.
Yes, and yeah, maybe we cast too large of a net, but this is helping us find like real issues in every pull request, and or again in the weekly runs. So that's that's a nice post from Jamil, from Roy. Sorry, would be nice actually to make it maybe an animated version to see over time, where like how the share of each main category evolves.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, great statistic, Roy. You're right on the money. We'll put a very long LinkedIn link in the description.
Yes. All right, moving on, or back, I guess, to some activity in terms of merged PRs. Driver-wise, more Pico stuff, more Raspberry Pi Pico. Did you spot a few?
Yeah, there's two really cool ones. So one is the interprocessor mailbox for the Pico. So this is the thing that lets you interrupt the other CPU, and it's used for asymmetric multiprocessing. So it now has an implementation using the AMP subsystem. I haven't seen application using the second core for the Pico, but evidently it works if they're writing this stuff. So yeah, this is cool. I'm not sure. Like, I always wondered how much value is in having a second general purpose CPU when you have an RTOS and you can just run multiple threads. But I'm sure that there is, right? Especially on the Pico that also has the PIOs that can offload simpler protocol. And on the PIO,
yeah. Speaking of which,
yeah, there is a MIPI DBI implementation for the PIO module.
So do you want to remind us what PIO is?
Yeah, the PIO is the programmable core of the Raspberry Pi Pico. I think it has 6 of them, and it's actually a very interesting architecture. If you look at the Pico, the SRAM is segmented into multiple units, and there are 2 core and 6 PIO, and the bus matrix on these ARM devices it's a fabric, so you have non-blocking paths. And if I understand correctly, if you write your code and allocate your memory in a clever way, you can have all of these units accessing memory independently. So you can end up with a very, very efficient system where things don't interrupt each other more than necessary, which is where this stuff plays, right? The PIO and the AMP implementation. So the MIPI DBI is the protocol for driving a display, which I think is just a fancy SPI, but this is going to implement it in a specialized way on the PIO, which I guess in theory means that you could have 6 displays controlled by a Pico. I'm not sure how useful it is because it doesn't have that much RAM, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah, no, the PIO stuff is really nice, and there's a bunch of other drivers already for things like RGB LEDs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's nice.
So the RGB LEDs is very powerful, right? Especially now that it has DMA support. That is a very efficient way of implementing that very annoying protocol of the NeoPixel, which normally eats a lot of resources.
Yeah. But yeah, nice to see more Raspberry Pi stuff. Couple of new boards, I guess, worth mentioning. The WCH series of SoCs, which I don't know about this board specifically, but usually we're talking about like really, really cheap RISC-V based cheap processors. So the CH32V307 is now available. Anything worth mentioning about this one besides, I guess, the price tag?
Yeah, I know the price tag, but I think it's a good general purpose microcontroller. They're getting traction. If you open random devices you buy from AliExpress, there's a lot of these WCH chips. So it's good to have it. And I think that we have a person that stepped up as a maintainer because they are apparently working a lot with this. So I would expect even better support over time for these devices. That's nice. Very cool.
Then there's a couple of ESP32 boards with fancy displays on them, I guess. One is from Waveshare, an ESP32 S3 with an R LCD. So I guess what's notable about this one is the R
It's an alarm clock.
Yeah, sort of, but it's also the technology of the LCD display, which is really, really cool. It's R LCD as in reflective LCD, so not entirely sure, but I think there's more or less a mirror behind the screen, which means that there's actually no backlight. And so it's really crystal, so it's black and white, but it feels like e-ink with a really nice contrast.
I mean, it's a classic Casio watch type of display, right?
Yeah, I guess that's what it is, more or less.
But if you look at how the device is built, it really is an alarm clock, right?
Yes, yeah, totally. But yeah, the display, it turns out we had a driver that was available for it, so it was pretty easy to bring up. And yeah, it's quite nice, like really low power. You can still get like 30 FPS, if not more. yeah, so that's there.
Yeah,
Another
buzzer, battery, Bluetooth. So I guess if you're doing your custom weather station connected via Wi-Fi, this is good.
Yep.
It's a good one.
Not sure how long or the battery lasts, but it should last quite a bit because the
Yeah,
LCD is
it's a big one.
supposed to not draw a lot.
But it does have a big battery, right?
Yeah, the
I
battery is
think
huge. I can show it to you, and maybe this will end up on the short on YouTube. But yeah, it's like it's a big battery.
I have apples there.
There you go. That's the same form factor. Another board from Vue. So that's actually a Chinese vendor that does lots of ESP32 plus large or not so large LCD panels attached to them. Again, pretty cheap, depending on where you source them from. So your support has been added for this one as well.
Also ESP32, also with a buzzer. Is this another alarm clock?
Yeah, I don't remember whether this one has a buzzer.
Yeah, you can see it on the corner. It doesn't say it, but
that's right. Okay, and then what else? I'm not sure we want to go through the entire list of all the hardware additions we flagged, but more microelectronica shields. One just merged with a NAND flash on it. Actually, like 128 megabytes NAND flash, which is quite a...
You don't see these that often. This is actually pretty cool. I never thought about it. It's an NAND flash.
Yeah, exactly. And I did a double take. Like when I reviewed the PR, I was like, oh, wait, really? Is this bits, bytes? Like that's a lot. And there's maybe next week we will have even more microelectronica boards, shields to talk about because people are adding them like crazy these days. An interesting driver or sensor or device I see from ADI, also a new driver for this guy, the ADE 7978. Did you know much about this one, Fabio?
I had a look. It's really interesting. I'm never gonna touch one of these. It's a chipset actually. The 7978 is the front end, and it's a multi-phase shunt meter, polyphase they call it, fancy term. So this is what you would use in your energy meter. And you could monitor three-phase and neutral. I guess they mentioned star and delta configuration, so you could probably monitor like a motor or something. What is really cool, this is one of those fancy analog devices chip that includes galvanic isolation in the chip. You may have used some of their chip for like CAN bus. They make CAN bus transceiver isolated with an integrated DC-DC converter. They cost a fortune. Really, really cool chip. I guess if you're into energy metering, this may be one for you. You probably know it already.
Nice. And then we have something worth flagging a couple drivers related to networking. I guess the LoRa native driver for the Semtech chip got merged. I think we mentioned it a few weeks back, but now it's merged. And there is also a new driver for WIZnet W6100 chip, which is effectively a Wi-Fi controller over SPI. And I think a shield might have been added. That goes along with that guy. But
good solution if you need to add SPI to any general purpose MCU, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the chip itself supports, and it has its own TCP/IP stack. It doesn't look like the driver makes use of it, like you would find typically some drivers in Zephyr for cellular modems. They support the network offloading option of the networking stack, and you basically offload. It's the module, the cellular module that takes care of it. In this case, I guess it's not wired just yet, and it's the Zephyr stack that is used. But that's cool stuff.
It's probably a good thing, right? I guess it gives you more option. I don't know. Probably depends on how good. Like you, I don't know how good the network stack on these devices is, but I would imagine it's fairly minimal. So I kind of like the way they implemented it.
Yep. Yeah. And with that, I think this is mostly what we had for this week. what else? Embedded World is coming up in a couple weeks, in like 10 days or so. So watch out for, I think sometime next week, and we will, certainly cover it. But we have this new, we will have basically the results from the 10-year anniversary survey that we did a few months back. The report, the results are being finalized right now. So kind of like a teaser that this is coming up. There's actually really nice insights in there. So we will probably have really good podcast material for next week. This might be our main segment, I guess. With that, I think that's for this week, right? Fabio, did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Cool. And then, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, give us some feedback through Discord and comments and whatnot. And we will be back in a week. Bye.
Bye.